The entire first set had gone with service, and by the tie-break, Becker was losing patience. He took the first set, and with it, a crucial psychological edge.
Oh, what a shot from Becker.
The second set gave a good indication of just how confident the German was.
Oh, Becker read it to perfection.
2 sets up, he began to take Edberg apart.
Oh, make that number 9.
There'd already been one service break each in the final set. Becker did it again to set up serve at 5-4.
Oh, it's good. What a shot from Becker. Game Becker.
Edberg had rarely been allowed to serve and volley his way out of trouble, and the odd passing shots were getting even rarer. As Becker powered on to victory, his ambition of becoming Germany's first male number 1 drew a little closer.
Tremendous shot under pressure. That's it, it's all over.
Well, I had a very nice week. I cannot play tennis much better. And I'm going to be back 1991, I think. Bye-bye.
The win left Becker $150,000 richer, but defeating his arch-rival obviously meant much, much more.
Doesn't drink. No joy for the 2 remaining Melbourne teams in the NBL playoffs. They both lost their opening semi-final games, and coincidentally the scores were identical. The Brisbane Bullets beat the East Side Melbourne Spectres, while the North Melbourne Giants lost to the Perth Wildcats.
For the North Melbourne Giants in the darker colours, the trip across to the west wasn't a pleasant one. For Perth, it was Ricky Grace who did most of the damage, finishing as the game's highest scorer with 39 and assisting in a great deal more.
And the layup is made by Ellis.
The Giants pegged back an 11-point deficit to lead by the narrowest of margins at half-time.
Leader puts it up for 3. And this time
The Wildcats regained the ascendancy in the third term and increased their advantage in the last quarter. North Melbourne must win at home next Friday to stay in the race for the grand final. Brisbane in white led at every break last night, with Giants centre Andre Moore dominating with 33 points. The Melbourne East Side Spectres were not without a chance though in the final quarter, drawing to within 2 points.
And Johnson can't stop him.
But the Bullets regained their composure and in a matter of minutes extended their lead to 10 points.
He makes the shot.
At one stage, the ring snapped away from the backboard. The big hands of Dean Utoff doing the damage.
Could be tech fouled for that.
Brisbane captain Leroy Loggins, playing with a sprained wrist, made a great recovery to post 29 points and passed the 7,000 mark, an NBL record. The second game in the best-of-3 semi will be played in Melbourne next Saturday.
Yes, the big slam dunk to finish off the game.
South Australia's most successful football team, Port Adelaide, today completed a Magpie trifecta. It added the 1990 South Australian Premiership to those won by 2 other Magpie teams, Collingwood and Swan Districts.
Magarey medalist Scott Hodges kicked 3 goals amid close attention from the Glenelg backline to move to 150 for the season, 1 short of the South Australian record. But just over 20 minutes into the second quarter, he fell awkwardly. Hodges was helped from the field, but it sparked the Magpies and they answered with 3 quick goals.
Phelps has got to be his target, or Ginnivan, because Phelps is at full forward. Sentry. This could bounce through. It has!
To the square, David Hutton. The snapshot is brilliant by Adrian Sentry, his third goal.
He runs into an open goal. The kicker's long, strong, accurate. Goal, yes!
The Magpies by 24 points at half-time. Port were equal to everything Glenelg threw at them in the third quarter, with Gavin Wanganeen a star.
Pass, Wanganeen runs into the open goal. And goals!
Hodges returned to the field, his knees strapped, to mark and equal the goal-kicking record. It was 22 points the difference at the last break. Glenelg again looked menacing in the last quarter, with Marshall, Fidge and Murphy goaling. But Hodges set a new South Australian record of 153 goals for the season, with 2 more.
Scott Hodges from 40, he lays back and he puts it through. That is the record. A great...
The Magpie backline, led by George Fiacci, a star of the final series, stood firm, giving Jack Cale his 6th premiership from 7 grand finals.
And it was perhaps appropriate that South Australia's most successful football team should win the last grand final before Adelaide enters the AFL competition. Harry White, the rider with the finest Melbourne Cup record of modern-day jockeys, is without a ride in this year's big race. 2 horses he's been testing haven't measured up, so he'll be searching for a mount that could give him a record 5th win. White sacked the South American import Savage Toss last week. The horse just isn't trying. So he was hopeful down the pitch a winner of the Launceston and Warrnambool Cups could strike form at the Valley today.
But Dud Hero kicks clear for Griffiths over Painted Ocean and then Perfect Answer, and Dud Hero makes it 4 on end. Painted Ocean.
Alas, a disappointing run. White will be hoping for better luck next Thursday when an appeal against yesterday's suspension that will keep him out of the Caulfield Cup is heard. The race was won by Dud Hero, who is rated a cup hope by trainer Tony Vassell. Next year.
You know, he's won over 100,000 in stakes now, and he really is sound, and his future's ahead of him. So this time next year, maybe, you know, we might be heading towards some nice races.
In the Canberra Cup, a Victorian Quinella, but little help in solving the Cup's riddle. Native Neptune is only a bolter's hup in the Melbourne Cup, and the second-placed I'm in Heaven wasn't even entered for the Cups.
Plume de VA, the leader, followed then by I'm in Heaven now. I'm in Heaven's running on, and Native Neptune down the outside. Native Neptune raced up and dashed to the lead. I'm in Heaven is battling on, but Native Neptune races to the lead near the line, and Native Neptune is too good. Native Neptune wins the Cup. I'm in Heaven second. Third was Pabulum, followed then...
A couple of fun runners from Geelong have won the annual Rialto run-up, more than 50 flights of Australia's tallest building. The winners are good friends and they train together, which is handy because their prize is a trip to New York to race up the Empire State Building.
If the Rialto were laid on its side, most of these athletes could run its length in 20 to 40 seconds. But standing upright, as your average building should, makes getting from bottom to top the longest 200 metres these folk will ever run. Of the women, a first-timer, Sue Page of Geelong, had careered away by about the 30th floor. At the finish on floor 53, Page romped in, looking amazingly fresh, the winner by 7 flights. She'd won a trip to Manhattan for the run up the Empire State, though the prize was only a secondary incentive.
Today it was for fun. I've never done it before and I wasn't going to do it, but a fellow who did it last year talked me into it, Jeff Case. He's running today.
Well, Jeff Case happened to be the favourite among the field of 85 men who set off 1,222 steps below. Each of the 85 had their own targets to meet, and for most of them, that target was the finish. The favourite found the target first in 7 minutes 22. A fitness freak who's into speed skating and cycling, Case says running up buildings is not his favourite pastime.
Sitting at home in front of the telly with a beer is more fun, but yeah, of course now, hell, you know, I'll treasure this for so long. You know,
Case would have loved to have beaten 2-time winner Robin Rishworth, who decided not to run this year.
I think it's good to give somebody else the opportunity. I've had a very good run. I think it's a chance for somebody else to have the same opportunity.
I'll tell you what, Arthur, if that's Sue's idea of fun, she's got a lot of living to do.
Yeah, I'd take the lift to the second floor here, you know, very
I'm
slowly.
with you.
Thanks, Greg. Have a good week. To the weather now. Handed.
You get caught sometimes. Well, racing's gone from Sydney to Melbourne in the last week. We had the Epsom Handicap last Saturday in Sydney. Now it's the Melbourne Spring Carnival. Flemington yesterday with the Turnbull Stakes, the top fillies in the Edward Manifold Stakes, the top sprinters in the Rupert Steele, and the return to the winning list of Terrific. But firstly to the Turnbull Stakes, a race worth $250,000 won by some of the very best horses over the years, and we had an outstanding one in yesterday in Better Loosen Up.
Better Loosen Up was having his first start in 3 weeks. The 5-year-old is at his top when kept fresh, and he looked fit and ready to maintain his excellent record. Savage Toss, the millionaire from Argentina, led until the home turn. Brisbane Cup winner Shazora was handy, and Royal Creation, the New Zealander, was poised to strike. Better Loosen Up still had a lot of ground to make up.
Further out, Shazora starting to join in. Royal Creation getting a run on the fence, and now here comes Better Loosen Up, hooked out wide. At the 400-metre mark, Royal Creation on the inside, and Shazora out wide have got to the front. But Better Loosen Up is starting to cut them down, coming down the outside from Equidity. Better Loosen Up moved up to Shazora and Royal Creation with 200 to go. Better Loosen Up ranged up to Shazora. They're going stride for stride. Royal Creation coming back on the rail. Better Loosen Up, Royal Creation. Bound for bound, Royal Creation. Better Loosen Up, Better Loosen Up. Better Loosen Up, a half-head Royal Creation, third home on the race, Shazora.
Better Loosen Up's victory continues the spectacular run of success for David Hayes, who's looking forward to the Cox Plate and then hopefully the Japan Cup.
Yeah, the trainer would like very much to be invited. he hasn't put a foot wrong this preparation, and as you can see by the way he's racing, he really is looking for a mile and a half now.
Right, now you will confirm, David, that Better Loosen Up won't run in the Caulfield Cup, is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
So it's a Cox Plate?
Cox Plate's his next run.
Well, David Hayes is really going from strength to strength. His father, Colin, must be so proud of him. Better Loosen Up now goes in the Cox Plate, maybe the Japan Cup with Superimpose. We saw another outstanding thoroughbred yesterday at Flemington, a filly called Joanne, who took her record to 9 starts for 8 wins when she won the Rupert Steele.
Joanne was best to begin, but was then snookered behind her 2 principal dangers, Redelva and Grandiose. She demonstrated her class by accelerating past the pair of outstanding sprinters.
Grandiose on the outside moved up to Redelva. They got a length and a half in front of Joanne, who's under pressure now. It's Redelva and Grandiose. Redelva again got his head in front. Grandiose grabs him again and further out Joanne. Redelva, Grandiose. Joanne's going to beat them though. I think Joanne lunging wide on the track, and Joanne gets up to win. A great run by the Sydney mare. Joanne 3/4, Redelva ahead away third, Grandiose.
Another Sydney trained galloper triumphed in the Edward Manifold Stakes. Twiglet, ridden by Kevin Moses, was the 5-2 favourite, and she proved her worth, overcoming difficulties to win.
Here's to Sooty down the outside. Twiglet's under a bit of pressure in the middle, battling on fairly well. Leica from a mile back at the 300-metre mark, and Century Pike took the lead from Marhassan, but Twiglet grabbed them. Twiglet on the outside races up to Marhassan, takes the lead now, the Sydney filly. It's Twiglet getting in front of Marhassan, Claire's Girl. Then Leica followed further back by Let's Hurry. Twiglet in front, and Twiglet's drawn 3/4, Marhassan, Claire's Girl, and Twiglet gets the money. Twiglet 3/4, Marhassan, third, Claire's Girl.
Terrific won his first race since last year's Melbourne Cup. Terrific was left in front a long way from home, and he could be a contender again this year.
Gauchi looking confident now. He asked the Melbourne Cup winner to go, and Terrific race past Grey Fillet, 2 to Persidium, then Delmar running on well from moving away. He pulls the whip on Terrific. He's 2 lengths in front with 200 to go. On the outside though, Delmar coming out after him. Terrific a length in front. Delmar on the outside, stride by stride, wearing him down, but Terrific is answering everything. Terrific a half in front of Delmar. Terrific just in front. Terrific's 1.5 length to Delmar. 5 away third in the races, Persidium.
Darren Gauchi riding a double yesterday, but being suspended along with Harry White. They could both miss the Caulfield Cup coming up in a fortnight's time. Kevin Moses, who rode Twiglet, also rode Emancipation for victory for Graham Begg's father, Neville, in 1982 in that very same race. It was the first time he'd ridden Emancipation. OK, let's go back a little to Monday and the Metropolitan Handicap, a $400,000 staying event at Randwick. This was the conclusion of the Spring Carnival in New South Wales. It can be a good guide to the Melbourne Cup, and we saw a very impressive staying performance by Donegal Mist.
As they come around the top turn, and it's Monausco, the leader. Nonna Line gets to within 2 lengths of Monausco. 2.5 then to Princeville on the outside of Donegal Mist, followed by Fine Catch. A bit more than a length to Zama Boy on the outside of our Magic Man. Look at them pack up now. Further back, I'm in Heaven, moving around the Mabarak, followed by Macquarie Prince, Shalia hard ridden, and then Tiaco Pearl and Palace Revolta dropped out last. As they come to the 700 mark, Monausco is done with, and his stablemate Donegal Mist has gone to the front. Donegal Mist leads as they near the turn. Princeville getting to second. Here comes Fine Catch. Fine Catch is looming into third place on the outside. Monausco still there under pressure, followed by Mabarak and I'm in Heaven right around the outside, and then our Magic Man heads a turn for home. Donegal Mist leads them in the Metrop, a length on Princeville. Now Dittman pops the question to Fine Catch, who's starting to hit top gear. Further out is I'm in Heaven. Donegal Mist in front of Princeville. Fine Catch is struggling a bit now. I think he might be gone, and Donegal Mist has booted away at the 200. Donegal Mist shot clear of Princeville. Fine Catch is plugging on gamely. I'm in Heaven is coming home well, and Shalia wider out, but Donegal Mist is going to continue the freakish trot for owner Martin Doherty and trainer Jeff Mains, and Donegal Mist wins the Metropolitan from I'm in Heaven. Princeville third.
Yes, the 4-year-old's been re-handicapped for the Melbourne Cup, 2.5 kilograms for winning that race. Now goes up to 50.5. The last horse to win the Metropolitan and the Melbourne Cup was McDougall in 1959. Seems a long way ago, but remember Collingwood won yesterday. And secondly, Natsky 2 years ago won the Metrop and then was very unlucky in the Melbourne Cup. Speaking of the Melbourne Cup, let's have a look at the market. This is the latest. The Phantom's the 5-1 favourite. Siddiston at 7-1. Terrific has come right into 8-1. Superimpose and Shazora at 8-1. Shazora was an excellent run yesterday. Superimpose a doubtful starter. Interstellar at 10-1 and Shalea at 12. 12 to 1. And John Alexander, I'm going to teach you how to bet over the next few weeks because we're going racing together.
You've got some hot tips, have you?
I reckon we're going to do all right.
My doubles partner, Denty, used to have a lot of hot tips. It cost me a lot of dough.
Phil Denty did like a bet, didn't he? OK,
money, yeah.
We take a break from one of my favourite sports to one of John Alexander's favourite segments after this.
Racing now, and Cranbourne-trained stayer Native Neptune qualified to start in the $2 million Melbourne Cup after an easy win in today's $110,000 Canberra Cup. Native Neptune defeated another Victorian stayer, I'm in Heaven, and Sydney 5-year-old Pabulum.
The Doug Harrison-trained Native Neptune was not among second declarations for the Caulfield Cup, but the 6-year-old is being set for the Melbourne Cup and put up a top effort today.
Native Neptune races to the lead near the line, and Native Neptune is too good. Native Neptune wins the cup. I'm in Heaven second. Third was Pabulum.
Meanwhile, at Moonee Valley, thousands of people flocked to see Melbourne's only Sunday race meeting. The weather was perfect for the picnic-type atmosphere. The main event was the $50,000 Foster's Grand Final Handicap. The David Hayes-trained Rashik was trying to win his second race in a week, while the Tony Vassell-trained Dad Hero was heavily backed.
Dad Hero went up to take the lead from Painted Ocean, then Western Frontier Rashik. Dad Hero speared to the front with 100 to go, and Dad Hero goes on a score by a length. Painted Ocean second, Perfect Answer third.
Meanwhile, at Moonee Valley last night, top South Australian pacer Tip Top Prince's dream run came to an abrupt halt in the Italian Cup. Aberdeen, the stablemate of the more fancied Alan Grant, upset his more favoured rivals.
Main details from the Valley today: the quaddie on 1, 3, 6 and 7, 4,927.20. Quad extra 3, 6, 7 and 4, 6,991.15. Daily double 3 and 7, 18.80, and the extra double 2 and 1, $14.05. And finally, the remaining two Melbourne teams.
Time now for NEC Sports World's Greatest Hits, and this week Margaret O'Donoghue wants to have a look at the 1975 Australian Tennis Open final. Jimmy Connors against John Newcombe, and John Alexander, that brings back a few memories, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was there. It was a great match, and it was played on a very hot and a very hard, fast, rough centre court. The tennis was extraordinary considering the conditions.
And I really should set this up because Connors in 1974 had won Wimbledon, the US Open and also the Australian, didn't play the French, so he had a chance of winning the Grand Slam, and he was really hot in 1975, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, he actually came to Australia a little bit overweight, and you can see it's rather a big Jimmy Connors playing here, and he lost in the final of those 3 championships that he'd won the previous year in 1975. OK, he was against the Australian favourite John Newcombe, who was 30 years of age. Connors just 22. 7-5 the first set for Newcombe, 3-6 he lost the second, 6-4 he won the third. We go to the fourth set and we're getting into the tie-break. Connors against Newcombe. Connors was just 22 years of age, but already the dominant personality in the game.
It's out.
Newcombe at 30 had qualified by surviving a marathon semi-final against his mate Tony Roach, winning 11-9 in the 5th set. With Newcombe 2 sets to 1 up, the 4th set tie-break produced a number of brilliant shots. And also some near misses.
Oh, by a fraction.
But Connors, ever the gunslinger, continued to hit out, pulling off a memorable cross-court winner. This final was very much a battle of personalities, and both Connors and Newcombe tried one another on.
Out.
Newcombe leads 5 points to 4.
And Connors knows it was out. He's play acting, but...
As the tie-break tightened, it inspired a couple of wonderful passing shots. Connors first up.
Oh! Unbelievable.
And then Newcombe.
Oh, no! It's Newcombe's turn.
Match point, Newcombe leading 8-7, and in typical style, Connors went out blazing. Newcombe had won 7-5, 3-6, 6-4, 7-6. The fans went wild, and Kooyong celebrated one of its greatest moments.
Yes, the 1975 final. Ironic that Jimmy hit the ball into the net because he played very flat all his life, didn't he, with that flat forehand, and it was a winner for him so often.
Yeah, not much clearance over the net or inside the baseline.
Just for the record, that was John Newcombe's last Grand Slam victory, and Jimmy Connors has not been back to Australia to play in the Australian Open since way back in 1975.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pity because he was really well loved in Australia. He played in the Sydney Indoors a number of times and won it, and played a memorable final against Ken Rosewall there one year when... was it Ken who wore his shoes out during the first set and a half?
God, amazing.
They did a lot of running.
Well, Margaret O'Donoghue, thank you very much from the south coast of New South Wales for riding into Sports World's Greatest Hits. It's Post Office Box.